This is CoffeeCoils, and this is part two of my Small Business Week interviews. And today I am interviewing Corey Masters, who is a entrepreneur and has worked for over 15 years in the finance industry and is the current owner of Mattress One in Irving, Texas, and several other small businesses. This interview is me asking him a series of questions that will assist those of us who are on the path to entrepreneurship. Also, disclaimer time, anything that is said is for informational purposes only, so feel free to take in the information provided here and proceed as you see fit. First question: what is the reality of bootstrapping? Is it a fable or is it a concrete way to start a business?
Thank you, Sandra. That's a good question. Bootstrapping is actually more realistic than people think. This is a process that's been going on for years. So I would take it on the very extreme end where you have a lot of people who come from money, and it's passed down from generation to generation, where it allows one to easily move into the line of business because they just inherently get the money from their family and can easily translate that into their own business ventures with little or no effort at all, because they have the luxury of having parents or relatives that can a lump sum of money with no problem, in which they then transfer into a much bigger business venture and put it in their own name and go on from there. Beyond those who tend to come from a background where you have a wealthy family or somebody with money that could just give you money without no problem at all, it does become a little bit more difficult, but it still is possible the same way. There's different ways that you can get money. I would say from my own experience of trying to get financing for my business, I didn't need a whole lot of money, relatively speaking, getting started. But the small amount of money that I was requesting, banks consistently turned me down. No matter if I went to a big bank like a Bank of America or Wells Fargo or a small local bank, the story was the same: is that money's tight. They really wasn't giving it out. They really only dealt with clients who were looking at six figures or more, and the amount of money that I was seeking, they didn't want to waste time on taking the risk at that point. Therefore, you have to be creative in the ways that you get money. So one particular bank person said, "Hey, the best way you're going to do this venture is you're going to have to get a few credit cards in your name and start it up that way. And then once you get built up and have some business equity for a couple of years and show that you've been profitable, come back to us and we'll talk about giving you money then." Credit cards, you have to be creative, whether it's your own money, you have to, or you take a home line of equity credit on your house. You have to take a loan from your 401k, take money out of your IRA. If you're hungry enough and you really believe in what your business venture is going to do, you'll find a creative way to go ahead and get started.
If a person is living check to check and they're just barely making it and they can't afford to get a credit card, or maybe they just can't get a credit card because the credit is so bad, what suggestions could you make to help them save money or to just better manage it so they can live out their entrepreneurial dreams?
Yeah, this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way a long time ago. Is if you're living check to check, or if you can't get credit card or any type of financing, even the credit card is the basic level of somebody saying we're willing to take a risk on you financially. There's something to me in that process that says there's not your financial background is not stable. So that leads to your credit issues. Meaning they looked at your credit, your history of paying payments, and they're saying, you know what, we don't feel comfortable giving you money because your past experience does not translate to future success for us. Therefore, we don't want to take a risk on you. So what I would start by doing is you've got to go ahead and get your credit straight from day one. So that starts off by having great habits from day one. So paying your stuff on time, not overextending yourself, living within your means, and trying to pay for things with cash as much as possible. But at the same time, if you go out and buy something preach enough about having a good credit history, because that also translates into your ability to get a good job or not. Because creditors will also, employers will also check your job credit as a way to confirm if you're going to be a good employee or not. Not everyone does it, but a lot will. And once again, it's just a data point for a company to say, hey, if this person is not a good steward of their money and you want to work with me, that tells me something about you and your personality and about how to be able to handle business. I mean, with me being in the financial services industry for so long, it's a perfect translation to say, hey, if you ain't good with your own money and you're trying to give advice to somebody else with money, how's that conversation really going to go? We don't really feel comfortable or trust that kind of situation. So get your credit straight, and at that point in time, live within your means. You know, there's a whole library of different things I can talk about on living within your means, whether it's sale, buying them when they're on sale. Just being very careful with your money when you have it, as opposed to trying to keep up with the Joneses when you don't necessarily have to, because 90% of the people don't even care anyways. So just be smart about that. Make it a habit. We had this term at my old company where we had a fund that if you can invest in it automatically coming from your checking account, we just said set it, forget it. And then as you invest in it over time, it'll grow, kind of like a 401k. Money comes out of your account automatically. You don't even worry about that money after a couple of weeks. But then you turn around and look at your 401k account, depending on market movement, it's become to be a nice little nest egg for you. So those are examples of, okay, just make it a habit of just taking money out or every paycheck having a certain dollar amount come out of your check, and just forget about it and work with the remaining part as your lifestyle going forward.